Part 25. They want for clairvoyance but can't easily obtain well. Ming Yu didn't notice everyone's strangeness at all, and said to himself, "This prince intends to use this clairvoyance in the village, and if there are thieves and bandits invading, they will be able to see from a distance, so that it can also be warned in advance. So that there is sufficient time for the people to evacuate and transfer or discuss strategies against the enemy." Although he had such a plan, the material has not been implemented yet. But he spent a lot of money on this telescope, polished with a crystal glass bottle given by the emperor. You know, this kind of crystal glass bottle is a tribute to the foreign land. And there are not many in Dayan Country. He has a pair that was given to him by his father, the emperor. If he wanted to mass produce it, he had to make cheap glass. Unfortunately, he only knew that glass was made of sand at high temperature, but the specific steps were not very clear. So he could only provide a general direction for the craftsmen below to slowly explore and create. Fortunately, these craftsmen still have the spirit of study. I heard people report before that they have made some progress and made colored glaze. It's just that what he needs is pure glass, which may take some time. Ming Yu narrowed his eyes. The glass is good, this thing is made, whether it is a clairvoyance or a glass mirror, but it is a big price. Selling them. Whether it is in other countries in the western regions or the south of Dayan Country, this thing can be used for him to make a lot of money. At that time, you really don't need to do anything. Just move your fingers, lie on the money, count the money, and eat and drink. Thinking of the beautiful life in the future, Ming Yu was in a bright mood, the corners of his mouth rose softer and brighter. Xie Yishou shook his head, and inadvertently there was a gentle smile in his eyes that was hard to detect. "By the way, how did you guess clairvoyance? I thought you couldn't guess it, but I was secretly proud of it, but I didn't expect you to be so keen that you can guess it right." Hearing Ming Yu say that this magical thing is for the common people, General Wei can't help frowning. What do the villagers know? What? Wouldn't it be a waste to use this? Something that is very useful in combat should be used in the army. Your Highness, it seems that you can do more based on what your Highness says. It is very beneficial to use this thing in the military. I would also ask your Highness to think twice and give priority to equipping this thing to the frontier garrison. General Wei stepped forward, said bluntly, "In terms of equipment, it should be equipped with our Red Robe Army first. With this item, our Red Robe Army will be able to give priority to controlling the enemy's situation and defeat the enemy more effectively in order to expand the results of the battle." Wen Yujiao naturally refused to show weakness, and he said after General Wei, "At this time, the Red Robe Army must not be left behind. If he is robbed by the frontier garrison, he will not be able to explain it to his brothers when he returns. No, everything else can be given priority to the Red Robe Army that is not acceptable." General Wei refused to give in at all. Why not? Make the best use of everything. Only our Red Robe Army can make it work to its fullest potential to resist. I'm afraid the Yi people will have already entered the gate. General Wei snorted coldly. He just couldn't see Wen Yujiao's arrogant appearance. If it wasn't for his father being the prime minister of the Dayan Country, would he have been able to enter the Red Robe Army? Wen Yujiao was naturally dissatisfied. General Wei had always been at odds with his father, and by the way, he was not pleasing to the eye. Although he was young, he was not a bully. When the barbarians entered the customs, it wasn't because the Red Robe Army were not afraid of death, and they formed a deadly army to take the lead in breaking through the enemy's central army, and then repel the barbarians. So, the garrison only needs to be defended. Where is the use of this? The fetish? You. General Wei blew his beard and stared angrily. Does this kid know whether to respect the old? This way of choking with seniors is not at all like his hypocritical father. Although his father was scheming around and calculating others all day long, he still had to be polite to him on the surface. How did he teach such a bastard? Just tell the truth. The old general won't let us young juniors tell the truth. Right? Wen Yujiao held his chest out, very confident. Don't rely on your age and seniority to be able to do whatever you want, and want to overwhelm others with seniority. Wen Yujiao was not afraid of him. General Wei did not deal with his father. It stands to reason that their juniors should not be involved. But back then, he ran to the side by himself, and he didn't expect to fall into the hands of General Wei. When he learned that he came quietly, he beat him severely, and even locked him up and threatened to give him to his father to discipline well. Later, although I don't know why he was released again, Wen Yujiao took this matter to heart, and he always wanted to stab General Wei every time he encountered it. Ming Yu blinked. Why did the two quarrel? Now that the glass experiment has not been completed, they can create clairvoyance at will. Do they think this thing is as bad as cabbage? I said too, do you know what materials this prince used to make this clairvoyant? It was made of crystal glazed glass. The emperor gave me a pair of crystal glazed glass bottles to make such a clairvoyant. If the two of you have 10 crystal glass bottles, this prince will ask them to help you make one for you to play with. Ming Yu's words made the two look at each other, and they didn't know what to say for a while. What kind of thing a crystal glass bottle is? Others don't know, don't they know? This is a rare thing that the foreign land paid tribute, and the entire Dayan country can count it with both hands. Today, His Majesty is precious, but I didn't expect His Majesty Emperor to reward His Highness Prince Duan with a pair. This is enough to show the position of His Royal Highness Prince Duan in the Emperor's heart. It seems that they should all re-examine this His Royal Highness. The two were speechless. Ming Yu was very proud, shrugged his shoulders and spread his hands and said, "Is there nothing? Since this is the case, this prince is really powerless." He said the truth. Although he can barely do it now come out, but the cost is high, and he is only one of them. And the low-cost glass is still in the experiment. Even if the experiment is successful, it is not known when it will be mass-produced. Besides, his main purpose of making glass products is to make money. Even if he sells this clairvoyant to them, his family won't be able to sell it for a big price. The small abacus in Ming Yu's heart rattled. I have a pair, but the prince can do such a clairvoyance for this minister. Xie Yishou, who had been watching with a cold eye, said nothing at this time. Cough, cough. Ming Yu didn't pay attention, choked on his saliva, and finally stopped. He squinted and looked at Xie Yishou. You said you have this crystal glass bottle? Xie Yishou shook his head and nodded again, unprecedented. He explained, 5 years ago, when the barbarians invaded, I led an army to raid the Central Army, cut off the big flag of the Central Army, and killed the commander of the left. Your Majesty gave a pair of crystal-glazed plates as a reward for meritorious deeds. I don't know that is it worth using for this clairvoyance? Xie Yishou put it simply. But the battle couldn't have been more dangerous. If it weren't for Xie Yishou leading the Red Robe Army to go deep alone, I'm afraid that Liangcheng would have fallen into the enemy's hands. Back then, the Red Robe Army was not as big as it is today, and its weapons were not as good as it is now, but the soldiers regarded death as if they were at home. At that time, under the leadership of Tuoba Ren, the king of Hunal, the barbarians broke through Xichang Gate, the border gate that Dayan Country most relied on in one fell swoop. You must know that Xichang Gate is the barrier of Liangcheng. Once this gate is broken, Liangcheng will be the fish on the chopping board, which will be slaughtered by others. And the army of the barbarians is under the city, and the city of Liang is in danger. If the city of Liang is attacked, it will no longer be guarded until the capital. At this critical juncture, Xie Yishou, who was only 18 years old at the time, led only 3,000 troops into the enemy's central army camp, entering and exiting 3 times. He shot Tuoba Ren, the king of Hunal, and killed the leader Heliansui, the commander-in-chief of the left department. The garrison took this opportunity to launch an offensive, and finally repelled the intruding enemy. In this battle, the Dayan army won a great victory. At the end of the battle, Xie Yishou was covered in blood, like a Shura from hell. After this battle, Xie Yishou became famous in the first battle and became a general admired by everyone in Dayan Country. The Red Robe Army has also become a local legend in the borderlands. Soldiers are not afraid of formation, and will not be afraid of death. Magnificent. Ming Yu had also heard of the tragic battle of this battle. But at that time he was still in a daze and didn't pay much attention to it at all. Because of Xie Yishou's outstanding achievements in this battle, the emperor himself bestowed the title of General Zan, and the imperial gifts were numerous, including a pair of crystal-glazed plates. Xie Yishou's words left General Wei speechless. This was a real achievement and could not be erased. If Xie Yishou hadn't stepped forward, I really don't know what it would have been like now. But Wen Yujiao couldn't be more complacent. Their generals became famous in one battle and became a myth that many young people yearn for. At that time, he had been fighting cockfighting lackeys in the capital for more than 20 years, and he seemed to see the light. After that, he made up his mind and even fell out with his family. He went to the border alone to follow General Zan, Xie Yishou. Yes, it must be possible, but this is a gift from the royal family. If it is made into something else, I'm afraid your majesty will blame it. Wen Yujiao reminded, I will report to the emperor myself and explain everything. Your majesty is generous and will certainly not blame the ministers. Your Highness Prince Duan said that this is the case? Xie Yishou stared at Ming Yu and said. Ming Yu shrank his neck, and inexplicably heard a hint of threat from these words. What he meant by this should be that if he did not agree, he would sue him with his father, the emperor, right? Speaking of the things that the emperor rewarded, they are not ordinary items. And they cannot be spoiled by people at will. It is too late for ordinary people to offer them up. How can they be used to disassemble them and make other things like Ming Yu? It is estimated that only Ming Yu in this world dares to act so recklessly. Ming Yu laughed embarrassingly, and said in agreement, My father is always reasonable, and he is an immortal emperor. So how could he be blamed for such trivial matters? Besides, the clairvoyance that has been made is widely used, and its effect is always better than that of a dead object. Ah, do you think so? His Royal Highness said exactly. Wen Yujiao nodded again and again. I'm going to bother Huang Lao. And tomorrow I will have someone bring the crystal-glazed plate over. Xie Yishou looked directly at Huang Lao, and was about to settle the matter. Huang Lao is a little at a loss. This prince has not spoken yet. How can he dare to make his own decisions? When Huang Lao asked for help, Ming Yu had to stand up. Okay, if you want to be clairvoyant, you can get. But you can see that the craftsmen like this prince have a hard life. Haha, you can't treat them badly if you want the fruits of their labor. Got them? All kinds of bonuses, allowances, subsidies, etc. General Xie has a lot of money, so you wouldn't mind this little money, right? Ming Yu approached with a smile on his face. Xie Yishou was simply afraid of this man's shameless appearance. So he took a step back. Conditions? Ming Yu succeeded in his plan. Will you fall into my hands sooner or later? Is this not retribution is coming? Heaven is not happy, your retribution is me. The conditions are not high. The craftsmen at my place have worked very hard. They asked you to pay 10 times their wages, didn't they run away? Also, I heard that the Red Robe Army has organized all the big and small battles over the years into a book, recording all the gains and losses, and General Xia's own comments. No. This prince has been greedy for a long time, so I borrowed a view this time, so that the people under this prince can also learn from the experience. It is not difficult thing? Ming Yu's smiling brows and eyes are curved, and he looks innocent and harmless. If you ignore his ripping words, this scene can be said to be very beautiful and harmonious. What? How can this be borrowed? When Yu Zhao jumped, it took him and General Xie a year to sort out and summarize it after various research. It can be said that their Red Robe Army's previous battles, big and small, are all summarized in it, and it can be regarded as a secret thing. How can you show it at will? Ming Yu spread out his hands and looked indifferent. Hearing Wen Yuzhao's words, he pretended to be relieved and said reluctantly, "Since you are reluctant, this prince will not force it." Scattered. What to do? Hey, the Cubs have already started a new round, let's watch the drill. Before he finished speaking, Xie Yishuo said, "Deal." Huh? Ming Yu couldn't react for a while. And it took a moment to realize that Xie Yishuo agreed to his conditions. Tisk tisk. It's a pity, he was still going to hang them up, and he would raise the price by the way. I didn't expect it to be so easy. Yes, General Xie really doesn't need to think about bargaining anymore. In this way, he won't be able to open his mouth anymore. Ming Yu's regretful expression can be seen at a glance, and he is ready to slaughter Xie Yishuo. He repaired a stroke and found his previous position. However, Xie Yishuo had already guessed his mind. Anyway, he was bound to win this clairvoyance, so why bother with a little gain and loss? Judging from the situation of their previous fight, a quick decision is the only way. It is the way to win. Ming Yu's regret and annoyance can be seen in his eyes, which inexplicably makes him feel happy. I will send things over tomorrow. Now that it's settled, Ming Yu has no choice but to nod and agree. Wen Yuzhao, who was on the side of never imagined that it would be settled in such a short time. What about secrets? At the beginning, General Wei had been begging them for half a month. But his general did not agree, and now he sent it out in 2 sentences? He secretly glanced at General Wei next to him, and seemed to be stunned by the negotiation between the two. When he came back to his senses, it was a foregone conclusion. He narrowed his eyes. When he heard about the various battle documents compiled by Xie Yishuo, he thought of borrowing them to observe. After 10 days and a half month, he could not see the man let go. In the end, he had no choice but to give up. Why? People are more irritated than people. Why is there such a big difference in treatment? He secretly calculated that the clairvoyance was really expensive, and he would definitely not be able to come up with a material like crystal glass. However, the prince is the prince, and his vision is different. Xie Yishuo has always cherished the battle documents summed up. The prince was able to get this thing from Xie Yishuo. I have to say that the prince did have some tricks. Since I don't have clairvoyance, I'll take the next step. I can't say. I asked the prince to borrow this document to observe with a shy face. Now it seems that it is necessary to have a good relationship with the prince, and it is necessary to move around more in the future. The so-called close to the water is the first to get the moon. Look at the novelties here, the sand table and the clairvoyance. Which one is not a good thing? I'm not sure what good things will come out in the future. And it's also good to drink the soup by myself. The people present had different thoughts, but the atmosphere was inexplicably harmonious.